someone using every aspect of the human psyche to like get you to do that. And it's like master of manipulation, and it's terrifying that people like this exist. Hello and welcome back to the Miscellaneous channel where we do miscellaneous things. I'm Zeleny. I typically cover TV, pop culture, internet trends, and other miscellaneous things on this channel, so subscribe if that's your vibe. This is new, so bear with me. I'm trying this out. I just kind of wanted to give a quick review of a documentary I just watched on Netflix called The Tinder Swindler, which I think a lot of people have heard about. I mean, it's a really kind of viral documentary right now, and that's how I heard about it. But I just wanted to talk about it with somebody, even if it's like in a quick way, or just to recommend it to you if you haven't watched or heard about it. I'll still do my typical question: is The Tinder Swindler worth watching? I definitely think it is. It's if you like true crime, or if you like Catfish, the TV show, or the movie, for that matter. It's just one of those that's like, what? So if you like that kind of documentary, I would definitely recommend you check it out. It's really interesting and fascinating, but scary at the same time. And it's short too. I love that it's a movie. I'm kind of so sick of docuseries, I'm not gonna lie. Like, at this point, things are drawn out so much. Even scripted shows are doing this too much, like where something should have been a movie and they make it a whole series, and it's like, why a whole series? We don't need that. I love this. It's just a movie on Netflix. You have a nice evening, maybe a date night in. So let's talk about what this movie is about. The Tinder Swindler is about this guy who makes a living out of scamming women on Tinder, specifically for the victims in the doc. He has like a Ponzi scheme going. So the documentary was produced by two of his victims especially, and then we also see a third one towards the end. And this documentary actually started out as an article for a Norwegian newspaper. Let's talk about what actually happens in the documentary. If you're trying to go into it blind, then go ahead and go watch it and come back to this video. We can talk about it. Well, the movie is about this guy he calls himself Simon Lviv. His real name is Shimon Hayut, I believe, and he is an Israeli con man who has allegedly swindled $10 million from victims across Europe, spanning many countries. And he uses a Ponzi scheme, which I realized watching this movie that I didn't know what a Ponzi scheme was. I had always heard the term, and I just assumed it was like a fancy word for a scam. Like, I didn't know what it meant. Apparently this is a Ponzi scheme where like your previous scam funds your next scam. You just like live off of the previous scam. That's what it made it seem like in the movie. Let's look up the definition. Wikipedia says a Ponzi scheme is a form of fraud that lures investors and pays profits to earlier investors with funds from more recent investors. So it's using new investors or a new credit card to pay off a previous credit card, and so on. That's what he was doing, but with female victims. So he would romance these women in a very like lavish and luxurious way. Literally first date, he would ask them to fly on a private jet with him to some other city. They have a very fancy experience together, and he has like a whole team around him. After that, he sends them flowers and is very much a fairy tale prince to these women. But then at some point, after they've become like official, he starts asking them for money and saying like his enemies are after him and his bodyguard's getting beat up and they're gonna find him and kill him. Because of that, he needs to use someone else's credit card and not be traceable. And then he just buys the next girl's private jet and first date and so on. And that's how he lives this very like fancy lifestyle, like private jets and Ferraris and designer clothes. It's kind of like a catch me if you can type of living. It felt also very Catfish. That's why I'm saying if you like Catfish, like just go and watch this movie. It's so good. It's just crazy because when you hear that and how I summarized it just now, you think, oh, these women are so dumb. They just believe that he's a rich, nice guy who's perfect and, you know, is an heir to the diamond's fortune or whatever. But it's just so sad. And they do dedicate some time in the movie about how these women have been victim blamed on social media and just called stupid by everybody. And I mean, there's a naivete to these women, but at the same time, this scheme is so elaborate and so like legitimized by a lot of people around him. So like, he's not just funding his own rich lifestyle, he's funding like his friends that he always has, his business partners that are there, the mother of his child, who was a former victim, confirmed by the documentary, but is now in on the scheme, which is wild. And it's just like, he just leaves these women with hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. And they just have to pay it off for the rest of their lives. And he gets away with it. I'm not going to recap that much more because I'm trying to make this a quick review thing because I don't have that much to say about it. I'm just like, shocked. So this guy he went to prison once in Finland from like 2015 to 2017, and then after that is when he scammed the women in the documentary, and then he went to jail for just 5 months in Israel. Then now he's out as a free man, just conning more people probably. We don't know. The question of like the victim blaming, I think, is one of the most compelling parts, and it's just like, it's just so sad how like it's a job to be a scammer, and like this guy just like manipulates people's emotions and gets them to willingly give him money. He has like a strong level of commitment to these women. Like, they're supposed to be officially together and they're supposed to settle down together, and he has them like looking for apartments for each other, and that's like all he does all day. It's just so evil. And it was heartbreaking to see Cecilia, Pernilla, and then who was the Dutch woman? What's her name? The red flags are all there. And so something I wish they would have included in the documentary is more of like a scamming 101 and things to look out for. Let's just look it up real quick. It's very much a formula to how to scam. This is not a tutorial. Oh my god. This is not a tutorial. Let's look up how to identify a scam so that people don't think I'm a scammer. I found an article that is how to spot the signs of a romance scammer and report online scam. Well, we don't know about the reporting. This is for a specific bank. So since the documentary didn't tell you guys what to look out for in a scam, I'm gonna tell you. Romance scammers profess love quickly without actually meeting you. Well, okay, this guy did meet them, but he professed love quickly. That's a key point. It's like love bombing, which I think is a term that has become more popular lately, of like a way to like manipulate people. And that is like telling them how much he loves them all the time, how he wants to make babies, and all these things that are kind of like, you know, what certain women might want to hear. Next we have romance scammers claim to need money for emergencies, hospital bills, or travel. Very true. He asked for all of this, mostly urgently, like for emergencies. Couldn't use his own credit card because he will be traced by his enemies, which I do wonder why these women didn't question why he had so many enemies, and whether the enemies were potentially the authorities of like more than 7 countries. Those were the real enemies, the journalists and the authorities trying to get him. But yeah, watch out if someone ever is urgently asking for money. That is a key element of a scam. Here's a good one. Online romance scammers try to lure you off the dating site. That is so key. He right away had them messaging him on WhatsApp. Once they matched on Tinder, he immediately was like, you want to go on this private jet on this date with me? And I think that's a great test to see if a girl is gullible. And I think anyone who on a first date goes on a private jet with a stranger is probably gullible enough to fall for the rest of the scam, which sucks. It shouldn't even be said, but don't go on a private jet with a stranger. That's the part that freaks me out the most, because it's like, you could be trafficked and like you aren't worried about that. Like, I would think I'm getting literally murdered if I was to get on a private jet with a stranger. That, I think, is a really good test for him. So another thing this article says is romance scammers plan to visit, but they always cancel because of some emergency. I think this kind of doesn't apply. This is more of like a catfish situation where like a they don't want to show their face in real life. But the whole always canceling or because of some emergency is very prevalent with this Simon guy, with like the paying back, because he was always telling them he's gonna pay them back. I just sent you the check, I just sent you the invoice, and they were just fake documents. So it was like a way to buy time, or like if they would ask for payback, he would be busy, or he would find any way around the paying back the transaction, which obviously he's stealing this money. He's basically stealing their money legally, which is wild, because the saddest part about the whole documentary was how the authorities like couldn't get him, and he didn't go to jail long. He's gone to so many countries and he has spread out his crimes fully to the entire European continent. The authorities don't know whose jurisdiction it is, how to track him down, and you know, I'm sure, you know, they have budget issues, but also there's supposed to be the European, like, FBI or CIA, the Interpol. I don't know, I just feel like so annoyed that the authorities aren't competent enough to like catch this guy. And I think it is because like he's legally stealing this money, kind of, if you look at it technically, because the women consensually give him the money. Lying is not a crime, and it just is so annoying, because it's like, obviously whatever he's doing is a crime, like morally, and I think most people would agree, everybody, even like police departments would agree that this is morally, like, it's a crime. But also, like, is it a crime if someone gives you their credit card, gives you their security code and billing address and information to use it? Is that a crime? Like, no, I guess not. It's mind-boggling, and I hate it. And I hate it. Why is this not a crime? Ugh. I think what he's gone to prison for is mostly like making like fake checks, like forgery and stuff, which makes sense. That's more of like a tangible crime. It's just like depressing. And yeah, I think a lot of people would blame the victims and say like, well, you gave him the money, and it's like, it's true. I mean, partially it is true that you gave it up willingly, but it's like someone using every aspect of the human psyche to like get you to do that, and it's like master of manipulation, and it's terrifying that people like this exist. That's the Tinder Swindler. That's what I'm saying. I don't have much to say about it aside from my feeling appalled about it and sad for these women. There's no justice served. That's the sad part, because it almost felt like at the end of the documentary we had justice. It's like, we got him, and they got him in this dramatic way, and I was like, yay. And then it was like, oh, never mind. He got out in 5 months and is still possibly conning people out there. I'm so annoyed. I'm annoyed. So this movie was quite a roller coaster, and that's why I recommend it. I think it's a journey, and I just get fascinated by these scam stories, even though they are tragic. So that's a Tinder Swindler. Please let me know what you thought in the comments below. Try to be sensitive to if someone were to exploit every weakness you have mentally and use it to hurt you. Like, just try to put yourself in that kind of situation, even if you are more aware about these scams. But I'd love to know your thoughts if you watched it at all. I would love to hear about it. Let me know if you enjoy the shorter videos. I think I should do these more often. I tend to ramble on and on about the things I watch, and maybe sometimes it's nice to have a little short one. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed. I put out new videos twice a week about TV, pop culture, internet trends, and other miscellaneous things. And you can follow me at Miscellaneous on Instagram or Twitter to find out about new videos, or just turn on the bell notification here on YouTube. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!